let's call the meeting to order at 7:01 by the wall clock for the November 15th regular police commission meeting. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I have a couple. I'd like to add to the approval of minutes, the November 9th special meeting we had at the police department, to the approval of minutes. And then under department updates, officer hire update, to give you guys an update of what happened last night.
That way, but I guess it's going to have to be because
Right.
is on, but he may not be here. Okay.
Move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, that was for the additions and deletions. Now I'd like a motion to approve the October 18th regular police commission meeting, the November 9th special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No action items. So we can move right into department updates and discussion items.
Hello. Ooh. So we've got three things in the department update and discussions. The first one is the crossing guards update. So the reason I bring about it, we have two ladies who are now working full-time as crossing guards at Meridian Elementary after a very long, I think over a year process. We have they both work for the school, so before their day starts and after their day starts, one does the mornings, one does the afternoons every day. That's Beth Snodgrass, started on October 20th was her first day. She does the afternoons, and Sarah Mahoney started on Halloween on the 31st, and she does the mornings. So I'll be their backup if they have a day off or whatnot. But very happy for those ladies to take on that role. Really appreciate it. For the department, for the officer hire update, on the 9th, the police commission approved for moving the recommendation for a hire to the township board last night. Last night they removed the item off the agenda. They're going to try to figure out funding later on. That's
Okay, I think since we also are missing two of our guys, that we should probably schedule a study session on that. But we'll talk during the week and we'll get back to you guys. Because there's a lot of things,
moving parts.
a lot of moving parts on that. All right. But I would like to say, for the record, that you and your team, Ken and everybody, did an outstanding job on coordinating it to where we're at least.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And then for department updates, okay.
Chief, just
I called him after the meeting last time on my way home and told him, and he was appreciative that I called him, let him know. He said Groseal is the only place he's applied for right now. He's currently in the process with. And he says he understands. I gave him no time limit, no promises, no assurances, and he has a good job right now. He believes Groseal's better, and he will try to wait it out and see what happens. Real positive conversation. What's
Good.
happening?
And that's part of the good job I was talking about. You guys have covered this like a blanket up to now. I appreciate it. The community appreciates it.
second question on crossing guards. Do they work all year round, or will they stop when the weather gets really bad?
Well, they had 4 kids that rode to school this morning, so they're going to keep doing it until they can park their car right there if it's bad weather. But if it's minus 30 degrees, but there are kids that ride their bike and walk to school. And then parents will drop off on the east side of Meridian, and then that's probably where more of the business comes. and then they cross them there, and they also cross the parents.
Okay, so it's not like it's, ends in December or
No.
January, stuff like that.
No, and then when school gets out, there's more kids in the afternoon than there are in the mornings. Don't know why that is. It's just, but you'll see all the cars lined up on Meridian for the parents to pick up. So, any other questions on that? Then we had two department events. We had Halloween, where if you were in the subdivisions yourself, you saw a lot of reserve officers and police officers patrolling for Halloween. We had no issues. And the same thing for the election day on the 8th. Officers patrolled and through the parking lots. Didn't stay too long, but made it a presence known, and then continued. We had no problems with the election. But besides that, I have no more department updates or information to provide.
Very much.
I'd like to thoroughly go through the department reports that you guys have in quite detail. We have about 25 minutes to expend on this. Doug and I are in competition to see who can guess how long our meeting's going to last. So I'm going to talk very slow.
So you,
I guesstimated 28 minutes, and my understanding is that we're at 5.
We're at 27 minutes.
Monthly reports. Gentlemen, you guys do get the packet, and I'm sure that you've had the opportunity to read them, but I'm going to go over some highlights, point out some of the good things that our department experienced through the month, and then some of the challenges that we've had. Calls for service, 1,052 for the month, which is about average for October. Sometimes you'd see us dip to about 900, sometimes you see us around 12 or 1,300. Self-initiated activity is something that I definitely want to point out. Our officers typically will average 2.5 to 3 stops per day. During the month of October, it was up to 4. That does not necessarily equate into more citations. However, year to date, they have issued approximately 800 verbal warnings. Quite a few verbal warnings when you compare it to the number of traffic violations in total. They also accounted for 258 security notices for the year so far. That's garage doors that have been left open in the middle of the night, vehicles that have been left unsecure, toys or something out in the yard that could be subject to theft or something else. So they're reminding our residents that there are different things that they can do to prevent themselves becoming victims of crime. So they are diligent, not just in traffic enforcement, but they're also trying to remind the public to be safe in other ways. I will note that during the month, we had an increase in the number of OWI arrests. Typically, we have 1 or 2. In October, we had 5. To note, one of those incidents involved a traffic crash. One of them involved OWI third offense, which is a felony. In that particular instance, the suspect would not stop for the police officer. He did not flee per se, but he just refused to stop until he got into the parking lot in front of his apartment. When he got there, he got out of his vehicle and took off on foot. Our officer was able to give pursuit to the rear of the apartment building, up a flight of stairs, and when he threatened to tase the individual, he stopped. So the subject did somewhat resist, and he's been charged accordingly with OWI third offense, notice given, resisting and obstructing a police officer. One of the other offenses, or 2 of the other offenses that were involved high BACs. High BAC is considered anything above a .17. And in these 2 instances, one was a .23 and one was a .25. So 2.5 times the legal limit. I will also note that during the course of one of the traffic stops, a drunk driver was found, if you noticed on our Facebook page, 8:45 in the morning. 19-year-old kid decided he was going to go to Point Malay and start drinking at 6 a.m. and then drive to Grosio to a friend's house. He was observed speeding, attempting to pass a car in a residential area. The officer pulled him over, noticed signs of impairment, did field sobriety tests, and he blew for a minor, I believe it was like 8 times the legal limit. So extremely intoxicated for a 19-year-old man. Not only that, the officer did discover open alcohol in his vehicle. So he was actually consuming alcohol while he was driving. No rhyme or reason to the number or the increase in the OWIs. We have posted some stuff on our Facebook page trying to deter it, but our guys are out there and they're aware of what's going on. If you notice in the traffic crash report, car deer crashes are down for the year. We've had only 5 reported crashes. Only 5 UD-10s completed from car deer crashes for the entire year. That's through October. That's a drastic decrease, which is a good thing. I'm gonna knock on wood because I don't want to jinx us.
I gotta say, over the summer, I still saw a number of deer, but in the last month or two, not a lot, not hardly.
Well, we're approaching the rut, so I expect
We
that
are.
number to go up a little bit here in the coming weeks.
We are, and make note that I said reported crashes, because an individual might strike a deer, have absolutely no damage to his car, and that doesn't get put on a traffic crash report. And I can tell you, a former supervisor came into the police station this morning about 6 a.m. He hit a deer. Officer inspected his car for him, no damage. So not enough damage for him to file a police report. So a crash involving a deer did occur today. It just wasn't reported because it wouldn't be cost effective for him to put it against his insurance. He could repair it himself, just fix the headlight and he'd be good. So if there's more damage, he always has the right to come back and file that report. I'll turn our attention to the Detective Bureau. How am I doing on time?
Pardon?
Detective Bureau took in 21 cases for the month, which is extremely high. It was a variety of different cases. A lot of juvenile complaints you guys noticed in your report. Cases involving those. They were diligent and cleared 17 of those. So only 4 out of the 21 are outstanding. They're currently under investigation still. They have spent a lot of time in our meet with the new township prosecutor, Ms. Hamela, and she seems like she's going to work out very well. A good rapport with my guys already. I had an opportunity to go to the 33rd District Court and watch her handle one of our dockets. Some questions, which is expected, but we're working through a lot of different things. She has some suggestions for us. We're going to have an administration meeting tomorrow. I'm going to bring some ideas to the chief that they have, changing ordinances, improving our ordinances, and coming up with some suggestions on how we can better handle our neighbor complaints. So that's on the horizon for us.
Which?
Sorry?
The neighbor complaints? I missed it.
She has experience in dealing with repeated neighbor complaints. I mean, we have a few of those that are consistently taking place.
Well, I was gonna ask a question when you were done regarding one.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
The 225169, where, it was somewhat of a,
Yep, that's the exact purpose of us sitting down with the prosecutor and her firm to come up with an alternative recourse.
so how did that get resolved, or is it still pending?
That's still pending. That's still pending.
I got the impression this was an ongoing confrontation.
It is. We have several situations where neighbors just have a difficult time living peacefully next to each other. And the amount of time and resources we spend trying to investigate their complaints is unimaginable. And if the new prosecutor can give us some direction to help solve those problems and not necessarily use our resources, it's a win-win. The neighbors can get some satisfaction, live in harmony, and we don't have to waste our time. And I don't mean that to be in a negative way, but it takes a lot of time for us to prepare an investigation, submit it to the prosecutor's office, wait, and then repeat back to the victims. And then a lot of times they don't hear what they want to hear, and it makes the relationship with us worse. So, moving on to animal control, ACO Cordes Redfield, to date, has fielded 700 animal complaints, 700 for the year, which is a lot, and that includes attending to nearly 100 domesticated animals that were either picked up because they were at large or surrendered to the shelter. I know she has a couple puppies there that would need to be considered for adoption, so anybody out there looking for a Christmas present, got some nice puppies there. Moving on to...
Before you go past that.
Yep.
um,
Take your time, Paul.
Do I get half or what?
Absolutely.
So you're the odor.
Yeah.
We're using prices.
You
and
ask
rules.
Animal Control Officer if, how the reports on coyotes have been.
To my knowledge, there has been minimal reports on coyotes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
I just happened to be at someone's house that has, outside surveillance cameras down on the south end. There were 3 or 4 of them. He sees them every,
Wow.
almost.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get the video and get them to you.
Okay.
They're still out there, and you can see there's
Oh, yeah,
there's
there's-
still packs, but not like it was several years ago. That
Do you know where they're being reported to be seen?
I've seen them at Bellevue.
At what time?
We're on to you. Moving right along.
I'm sorry, Paul, what did you say?
That was it?
All right. Our officers that are assigned to special task force groups, the SWAT and crisis negotiation team was activated once on October 17th. They assisted Lincoln Park Police Department with a search warrant. They wanted to look into a trailer for weapons because a resident was seen shooting his firearm outside, potentially committed a felonious assault. So our officers that are on the SWAT and CNT teams responded, and they were able to resolve the situation without incident. And next month, I'll tell you a couple more incidents that we've had so far in the month of November, involving barricaded gunmen and apprehending a homicide suspect. Moving on to the reserve report. We can't say enough about how much these guys help us in our special events and so forth. You can tell by the list of events that they had in the month of October, they were out quite a bit. They committed a total of 66 and a half hours, helping us with anything from traffic control to Paint the Town Red, homecoming, and some other events. So we appreciate their efforts. I mentioned previously that we have 2 new applicants to join the force, and Detective Darsniak and Detective Secretarius are going to be starting their background investigations relatively soon. In the month of November, they have a couple events. They've already helped us with the elections. The chief mentioned their participation, everything went well with the elections. And we have a turkey trot coming up. You'll notice it'll be on our Facebook page to let motorists know that on Thanksgiving morning, there will be a fun run and a 5K starting from St. James Church. Fun run starts at 8:30 in the morning, goes down Bellevue, and then there's a quick turnaround. They return back to the church. The 5K starts at the church, goes northbound on East River, almost to Church Road, and then the runners, participants, return back to the church. So they're straight shots, but we want our motorists to be aware that there's going to be an increased number of pedestrians on the roadway. And unfortunately, that's all I have. Unless you guys have any in-depth questions for me.
I have a question with respect to the fleet. Just going into the winter months, how are we looking vehicle-wise, maintenance-wise, budget-wise?
We are on top, and that's really the chief's area, so I'll let him answer if I don't. We are up in mileage for the month of October. We increased to 16,000 or 17,000 miles driven for the month, which was, when I look at self-initiated activity, not only were they active, but they were out driving around putting miles on. Well, we are bringing our cars in for oil changes and for getting repairs done like on the spot. And I know we're transitioning to using our SUVs and our Chargers right now to get them the miles up, because they really cost us a lot in repairs. And we'll transition to the SUVs and pickups when the winter months come. But I think we stand pretty well. I know we're talking about the budget for next year and whether or not to budget a new vehicle, if we're going to be able to fund one. The alternatives, Chief, I don't know if you can add on to that.
We have a couple newer Explorers with lower miles. We have older Chargers and a couple, like in 2008 and a 2010 Expedition. We're trying to focus more on those in the winter to get the mileage up on them, to get them out of the fleet, and try to save the newer Expeditions. It's a cost-saving measure because at the end of the day, police cars are expensive. So
Appreciate it.
And we've talked about repurposing a couple of the vehicles with higher miles. The chief has offered to take one that has higher miles to help the road patrol. The problem is, his vehicle, my vehicle, is not equipped for that. It's just the engine's probably not strong enough, and we don't have probably the appropriate lights and stuff inside them, but it's a consideration he's made, because he just took over, or we just received Ferguson's old vehicle. So we're always looking at cost saving measures, and that's one of them.
The administrative vehicles he's talking about, the detective bureau cars, don't have police packages, like the suspension, the radiator, and then the bigger thing is the alternator. The alternators that are in these cars can't support a police package while the lights are running. It'll drain the battery faster than the alternator can replace it. You have to send all these cars back in and revamp them. Again, it's not really a cost-effective measure, but we have enough cars in the fleet to where we can make it work. So
We have established a very good relationship with Richardson's on Macomb Street. He gets our vehicles in and out for us, and he's very good at making sure if there's a repair that's needed and he's not sure how to do it, he figures it out. So he's been very helpful for us. Sometimes we'll have two vehicles there at the same time, and he always tries to give us some priority. What else you guys want to talk about?
Just a quick question. Did we switch shift patterns on the 17th?
16th.
16th,
October
okay.
16th.
So that's why
correct.
there's no afternoon calls.
Probably, yes. Actually, there should be a combination of, unless they just added afternoons to another shift, but there should be days, afternoons, midnights, and then what you'll see in the future is platoon 1 and 2, which would be days, and then 3 and 4 will be nights. Or you'll just see two columns, 1 nights and 1 days.
Anybody have any more questions of Kim?
Did the chief mention to you that we had a department meeting? We had a department meeting. It was mandatory for everybody to come. It was, I think, well received. We had an opportunity to give our membership, or I should say, our department, our vision, the direction that we want to take. And genuinely, I think, not just to buy time, I think it was really, really a good idea. The chief came up with having breakout sessions. We had our department message sent. Each of the shift supervisors took their shift into a different room, had an opportunity to outlay their expectations, come back to us, and if they had any questions, we were able to answer them. So we did get positive feedback. In fact, I think some of the guys, the newer guys, were like, "What's wrong? Why are we having a department meeting?" We're like, "No, this is our goal. This is our goal. We want communication. We want transparency. We have done so much in the last 9 months with new assignments, new positions, promotions, and everything else. We want you to know that we're happy with what we're seeing, but there's going to be more movement." So that was a good thing. I don't know if he mentioned that or not, but that was in the month of October as well.
Very good.
What else you got, Paul?
Well, what I got is, I have a motion to accept the reports.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's how we stop you.
where are we at?
So, there are no attendees, so there's no public comment. So Jessica, you have anything? No. I can play this game just a little for Ken's sake.
Paul, you only got 4 minutes. Stress it out.
No, because I've been watching the clock too. So, anyone else have anything for today's meeting or tonight's meeting?
No.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.